Good morning. I know you're all anxious to hear the results of our pre-climate convention talks.
We're pleased to announce we've reached an agreement on the agreement and we are going to agree to disagree. We've set targets so that by the time the old agreement is replaced by the new agreement, we will be able to reach some
disagreement. By 2015, levels of agreement will be at an all-time low.
High, rising to an extraordinary 87%.
By 2050, we'll see conjecture down 20%, speculation up 15%, and an overwhelming consensus will jump just a fraction.
The leaders of the world are committed to non-committal.
We're not. Any questions?
What does this mean for climate change?
We're fucked.
Tonight on Hungry Beast, an Australian soldier gives us the unauthorised, unvarnished version of serving in Afghanistan.
It's like launching killing machines from a cross between the Hilton Hotel and a Westfield shopping complex.
And the A to Z of fake things that really exist.
Placed into each buttock, these implants are designed to enhance the shape of your bum.
It's your week remixed. But first, check your pulse. The vampires are coming.
With this week's release of the new Twilight film, on top of the success of Stephanie Meyer's books and the TV series True Blood, the love of all things vampire has been higher than ever. But this hasn't always been the case for Australia's vampire community, many of whom have had to struggle to fit in here, as this report shows.
I'm Count Geoffrey Bathory XII. My mates call me Jeff. We upped coffins and moved here from Transylvania because of the sunshine. Joking. No, we love Crocodile Dundee. We're big Paul Hogan fans, so naturally, Australia was the top of our list. Back home, I was a qualified doctor, but when I came here, I felt like I was discriminated against because of where I'm from. Look, it was really hard, but I knuckled down, worked hard, took a series of jobs, mostly at night.
I'll tell you what's wrong with this country. Blood donor levels are appalling.
Meat lovers? As a newcomer to Australia, I got called some awful names. Fanghead, Bloodsucker, Dracula. But you get used to it. It's kind of in good fun. Well, the Twilight movies have been quite remarkable. They've helped us quite a bit, especially with the young people. They think we're cool now. Having a laugh, taking the piss. That's the Australian way. It's all part of being accepted here. When a new group arrives, you're expected to make fun of them. I know I've been hanging shit on my Sri Lankan friends all week. The dirty terrorists. Look, I just want Australians to know that vampires are people too. Just really old, immortal people that need to drink fresh blood. That's good.
Stuff said this week.
You tell the ashtray, sit in that chair. Then you actually go over and put the ashtray in the chair. Then you tell the ashtray, thank you. Former Scientologist Mark Hedley describing a church therapy designed to rebuild your ability to control things. Women's Day, the November 23rd issue, 2009.
Hysterical, almost continuous, just screaming. It sounded like she was being murdered. Pamela Spark, a council environmental health officer sent to monitor noise levels of a British couple whose sex sessions were so loud that neighbours couldn't sleep. abc.net.au, November 11th, 2009.
Without any announcement, without saying anything, they started shooting. A 17-year-old, one of 61 Afghan asylum seekers, whose boat was intercepted and shot at by the Indonesian Coast Guard. The asylum seekers were trying to reach Australia. News.com.au, November 15th, 2009.
Since becoming Prime Minister, Kevin Rudd has put his fingers in a lot of pies. Well, not every pie, but his favourite is the moral guidance pie. Don't believe me? Look at this pie chart. Bill Henson, Chaser, Gordon Ramsay, hey, it's blackface. This guy will weigh in on the morality of anything.
To ask you my personal view...
I'm not.
I have a very deep view on this.
Shut up! Being lectured about morality by a politician is about as unwelcome as being lectured about healthy eating by a supermodel.
Can I just say on that one, I fundamentally disagree with you.
And the worst bit is he keeps commenting on things he knows nothing about. Hey, Kev, what do you think of my new boob job?
This is the first time I've seen them. I think they're revolting.
I rest my case. I don't need Rudd to tell me what to think. I just need him to run my country. K. Rudd's moralising. Ooh. Tastes crud. And a little bit bullshit.
Chances are, almost everything you and I hear about Australia's war in Afghanistan comes through the Defence Public Relations Department. See, unlike other coalition forces, Australian journalists find it exceedingly difficult to gain access to our soldiers. Those we do get to speak to never veer too far from the Army PR guide. So while American and British troops are out there publishing their first-hand accounts of the war in Afghanistan, we are, for all intents and purposes, in the dark. Until tonight. A currently serving Australian soldier has given Hungry Beast an unauthorised interview in which he discusses his time in Afghanistan and his views on the war on terror. To protect his identity, 4 actors will bring his words to life. What this soldier has to say doesn't appear in any media training manual.
So what is it like to serve in Afghanistan?
Kandahar. The next stop on the rear echelon motherfucker's guide to an easy deployment. The place is huge. 20,000 people. McDonald's, KFC, Starbucks.
It's like launching killing machines from a cross between the Hilton Hotel and a Westfield shopping complex.
Most of the Australians are working in Uruzgan province. What's that like?
Uruzgan province is a shithole. I mean, even the Afghans think it's a shithole.
3 things are a constant with soldiering anywhere.
Dust, mud, and shit.
Coats your clothes, equipment, skin. The need to shit in the field generates all sorts of personal security and logistics issues that most people in Australia never have to consider.
You don't like crapping in public toilets? Try squatting in the middle of a desert in full view of the enemy and your own troops.
Hoping they don't decide that now is a good time to start shooting.
The Dutch are officially responsible for the security of Uruzgan province. What do they like to work with?
Dutch is an acronym for don't understand the concept
here, which seems an accurate reflection of the Dutch approach to war.
They're like high school kids on a school camp.
They put a kill box around this particular part of Kora Valley.
A free fire zone, basically.
And they just punched artillery into it.
Unobserved artillery. No one's looking at where the rounds are landing. Killed 80 civilians.
The Taliban know the difference between our uniforms, and they will go out of their way to fight the Dutch because they know they'll get a result. The Dutch will run away
or be reluctant to go after them, so they like fighting the Dutch.
But the Australians are different. They know the Australians will continue a fight until it's finished.
We were in Afghanistan for a long time before we lost an Australian soldier in combat. It was the first time we'd lost a soldier in enemy fire since the Vietnam War. How did that affect you?
When Dave Pearce was killed, it didn't shock anyone. We were all expecting our luck to end.
People used to talk about it within the military. It was this phenomenon of, fuck, the uniform must have a force field around it or something like that. So many close calls, no one killed.
The second thing was, well, that's broken the spell and we can expect more now. And brings it home. It's not a game anymore.
I felt no fear for myself in the face of the deaths. I even felt comfortable with the idea of being killed in Afghanistan.
There's 2 ways of looking at it. It's either a bullet with your name on it, Or it's one marked to whom it may concern.
Dying quickly, doing a job I loved and being remembered for it held an appeal that living a long, safe, dull existence only to die unloved and forgotten of old age would never have.
So how do you know who the enemy is?
Well, if he's got a gun and he's shooting at us, he's the Taliban, yeah. Oh, it's not as difficult as people think. It really isn't.
You can see him. I mean, the guy who turns up after the IED's been detonated and starts collecting up all the bits winding the wire for the next one.
Well, you can shoot him. The guy who's up in the hills with the radio or the mobile phone or something, and he's a spotter.
Well, you can shoot him. It's a bit of a no-brainer.
What do you think of the Taliban?
I don't think very much of the Taliban at all. They do some pretty vicious and brutal things.
But it rarely receives the media attention that some of the Western soldiers have been accused of.
I mean, while I think it is a good thing to hold our own military to account, what you're not getting is all these other horrible shit things that the Taliban do. And that by no means excuses. I mean, any of these wankers that go,
oh, you can't tell who the enemy is, there's no front lines, and that's why I shot half a dozen civilians or something. No, you shot half a dozen civilians because you're an irresponsible psychopath. There's a difference.
And it creates a public expectation that all of us have got atrocity stories, that all of us have done something over there that we regret, which is not the case.
What do you say to people who oppose the war?
Oh, as for the anti-war left, I mean, fine. But what is your position on the Taliban?
I mean, the Taliban get back into power. The first people they're going to go after are women.
They're getting shot and stoned for adultery.
Homosexuals are being repressed and executed.
Anybody who wants to start a trade union...
Who wants to educate their daughters.
Who, God forbid, doesn't agree with Islam, is subject to their whims.
So you're more than welcome to criticise the conduct of the war. Shit, I do. But I thought their natural sympathy would be with these sorts of people. It's
kind of weird.
As someone who's willing to quite literally put your life on the line in the name of this conflict, what do you think the war's about?
For me, it works on a number of levels. In Afghanistan in particular, it's brutally simple. It's as long as it's not a training base for people who are going to fly planes into buildings.
I mean, these people are a very serious threat to Western culture, and this threat needs to be fought wherever it appears.
These guys believe in fundamentalist 7th century Islamic values.
I don't want to go back in time. I'm not interested in their view of the world. I don't agree with any sort of fundamentalist religion, the idea everything revolves around the words of a sky fairy. Islamofascism, it's a type of nihilistic thinking.
That some people deserve to die and that everyone else deserves to be told what to do. That's what I think the war's about.
Is this a war that can be won?
Yeah, most certainly. Christ, we're a society where McDonald's can sell your own faeces if they market it properly. Yet we choose not to apply that sort of ability with marketing of saleable ideas to this war.
Why aren't we on the internet? Undermining these jihadi sites or this propaganda that gets put out there.
Groups are self-radicalising because of that. It's almost as much of a threat. In fact, it's a larger threat to the West than Al-Qaeda sending in operatives.
It's not just about going somewhere and bombing it back to the Stone Age, if you can get them any further back into the Stone Age.
All we need to do is effectively challenge a minority view that's got a very powerful message and one that we keep justifying by allowing things like Abu Ghraib.
So all they need to do is point the finger at that and go,
see, we were right. This is the shit they do. What answer do you have to that? Nothing.
Why do we have so little information about the conflict?
I think if the Department of Defence chose not to release anything, then we would never hear about the war in Afghanistan. Honestly.
We don't trust you. It's that simple.
The level of media ignorance across the board on military matters is astounding. The brutal reality is that journalists will not invest the time to learn large amounts of detailed and esoteric information
on a subject that will only occupy a relatively brief period in their career.
For example, you are researching a story that will probably run for less than 10 minutes once. Where is the incentive to become an expert or at least
functionally knowledgeable on the ADF?
God knows what your next topic of research will be.
Why are you talking to us?
Well, it appalls me that whinging frauds are able to gain the bulk of the media access and press their bogus claims.
Most ADF personnel serve in support roles and rarely risk their lives or fire their weapons. But I believe eventually the Special Forces experience, or at least the superficial
media treatment of it, will come to provide the narrative for Afghanistan.
Murdered civilians, dead women and children, airstrikes gone wrong, assassinations will be the siren calls of the frauds and liars. I mean, there is always a pop culture
vision of various conflicts. Key images, phrases and myths cobbled together in a 25 words or less potted history for those with more pressing things to deal with. These are trotted out as
factoids and truisms by the media and at every dinner party conversation as if they
encapsulate all that's necessary to know about the deaths of my friends. The discomfort, the violence, the achievements and failures of a
complex set of activities and environments that take place over several years. I can't
change the course of a cultural tsunami of myth-making and superficial storytelling. But that doesn't mean I have to accept it. So when I hear people say, oh,
war's a terrible thing and war's always a bad thing, well...
No, it's not. It all depends on where you stand in that war. What is much harder to show and define, and in fact is very rarely done in popular media, is to show the gratifying aspects of it. And that is something people don't like to talk about.
Life is much easier when you close your eyes and sing La La La.
Thanks to actors Aidan Young, Dan Wiley, Lewis Fitzgerald and Roger Corser for bringing to life Kirsten Drysdale's interview with a currently serving Australian soldier. You can find an extended version of that interview on our website. Also on the website, you'll find a story about the Afghanistan experience in the words of soldiers from other countries, illustrated with the work of Australian photographer Stephen DuPont.
NASA is complaining that wireless signals from smartphones, GPS navigation systems and free internet hotspots are making it difficult to gather signals from space and, in some cases, making them unusable. Scientific American. Scottish scientists searching for evidence of the Loch Ness Monster have instead found over 100,000 golf balls. Discovery.com. According to the chairman of Iraq's tourist board, there is a 70 to 80% chance you will be okay when holidaying in Iraq. TheDailyDust.co.uk. 2009 has been a big year for fakes. We've already had a fake war hero,
fake children in peril,
and yes, even fake singers.
And to top it all off, on the weekend it was reported that a 24-year-old Texas woman allegedly faked having breast cancer.
As part of the hoax, Trista Joy Latherne shaved her head, held a fundraiser that raised over $10,000 US for her treatment, which she then spent on breast implants.
Wrong town.
Oh yes, but there's plenty more where that came from. So here now, the Hungry Beast A to Z of things that are fake
but really exist.
Welcome to the Hungry Beast A to Z of Fake. Part 1, A to H. A is for ad. You can buy anything online, even, it seems, babies. In May this year, an ad for a 1-year-old girl from New South Wales had child protection officers freaking out until police revealed the ad was fake. Pity, could have gone straight to the pool room. From babies to fake bums. Placed into each buttock, these implants are designed to enhance the shape of your bum. Baby got back. Fake can come in all shapes and sizes. Here's a fake city. In October, tourism bodies were swamped with inquiries from millions of men who'd heard rumours there was a Swedish city called Chaco that was home to 25,000 sex-mad lesbians. The Swedish Tourism Board confirmed there's no such place. Tourism, however, is booming. Not so arousing, fake democracy. About 1 million fraudulent votes were recorded for Afghan President Hamid Karzai in the August election. You think that's dodgy? He's just been re-elected because the only other contender dropped out. And humans don't just fake out humans, we trick animals as well. Like with these fake eggs. Excessive egg laying can be a problem with birds. One method of birth control is to swap the bird's live eggs with plastic ones. Cruel, but effective. What the F? Foreskin. The Scent Slip allows circumcised men to regain their foreskin. It comes in 2 different colours and 10 different sizes, but is not a big seller in Israel. And from dicks to dickheads. In September, a suspended policeman tried to rob a Melbourne milk bar with an imitation gun. Staff realised it was a fake and hit him over the head with a real bar stool. Which brings us to H, for hymen. The artificial virginity hymen is a pouch inserted inside the vagina that leaks a blood-like substance when broken during sex. What could be dodgier than a fake hymen? Heaps. We'll bring you the next instalment of Hungry Beasts A to Z of Fake next week.
The evening news teaches us to be afraid of many things. Boat people, crime, the weather. But are these really the things that eat away at us? We spoke to people in different parts of Australia and asked them one simple question. What do you fear?
What you need to do is just stand on this yellow line. Yep. Look back this way.
Sure. Straight at the camera.
The first question I'll ask you is, what do I fear?
Oh, so many things.
I guess, like, just not finding out who I am, I suppose.
Fear of being ignored.
Fear of not doing enough, fear of not being enough.
The future, I suppose, and what's going to happen.
Oh, nuclear holocaust.
Apocalyptic climatic events.
Also getting my face bashed in. Yeah.
What do I fear? Fear nobody. Probably the man upstairs, yeah. Lord Jesus Christ, that's probably the only man I fear. I fear no one, man.
I'd have to say terrorism.
I fear the world today, the children.
Being alone.
Fear, what I fear, about death.
Women exposed, walking around saying, look at me, look at me, look at me. Aren't I gorgeous? I'm ready for it and all that stuff.
Nobody wants to die. Everybody wants to live forever.
Nothing really. I've had cancer, so I don't know what's worse than that.
Being raped and attacked by men walking around the streets. I've had that happen a lot, and yeah.
I got on the bus the other day. There were 3 little boys sitting there. They must have been 12. And they were effing this and effing that. I said, boys, we're on a bus. We don't want to hear that language. And they said, oh, F off.
I fear for my people. We just lost someone today. And I fear for the children, for the future. I fear for the planet, the animals. I fear for a lot of things, really.
Am I going to get back into the workforce? Am I going to find somewhere stable to live?
Will my husband stick by me, if I become sick?
Life. Very hard life.
Existing. Really existing. It's just a constant struggle at the moment to exist.
I'm not fearful of anything.
16 cents. The cost of a surplus condom from the 2008 Olympic Games being sold by a Chinese collector. They were issued to athletes and all bear the Olympic motto, faster, higher, stronger. $4 billion. The estimated cost of a 1,000-acre Walt Disney theme park to be constructed in Shanghai. It's the result of 2 decades of negotiations between Disney and China. $55 million. The amount the Commonwealth Bank will save in taxes this year through its offshore accounts in Malta. The US government is currently in the process of blacklisting Malta as a tax haven. Now, Hungry Beast isn't just us.
That's right. If you head along to the Hungry Beast website, abc.net.au/hungrybeast, you can post your own stories, videos, comments, bribes, virtual cuddles, you name it.
And if they're particularly good, we'll whack it up on the TV show.
Which might look a bit like this.
This is stuff you made, created from stories you posted on the Hungry Beast website. Hungry Beast member James Egan has posted a video from Tanzania about his experiences in Africa.
You might notice behind me that there's a bus there. That's my bus. Or it was. It's very much broken down, but I literally have no idea where I am.
Become a member of Hungry Beast Online and share your ideas and video stories with us at abc.net.au/hungrybeast.
Well, that's it for Hungry Beast, but please jump on the Twitter if you'd like to engage with us in some witty repartee, sledging or any other fine internet pursuit.
In fact, we're probably there right now. Good night.
Nighty-night.
Next week on Hungry Beast. With footy over, the racing done and weeks to go till cricket starts, we see what Australians are talking about on Monday mornings.
Did you watch Sunday Arts on the weekend? No.
That's next week on Hungry Beast.